Thank you for the invitation, and thank you for SOCBK and the Francesco Economy Group for bringing this conversation together tonight at Kavarna na Borso. Okay. It is a particular gift to speak in Prague, a city whose intellectual life has long held theology, public responsibility, and the question of human freedom inside the same frame. That context shapes how I want to begin. In most rooms, AI is introduced first as a technical question or as an economic one. In a room like this, Catholic, public, and Czech, it should be introduced first as a question of governance, stewardship, and discernment. This is not only a personal preference, it is increasingly the magisterial framing. The Dicastery's Antiqua et Nova, published in January 2025, treats AI not as a neutral tool, but as a development that touches the human person, the common good, and the integrity of moral judgment. Pope Leo XIV, in his January 2026 message for the World Day of Social Communications, returned to the same ground. The question with these systems is not only what they can do, but whom they form and whom they serve. So, I would like to begin with a simple claim. AI is not first a question of efficiency. For church institutions here, this is not an abstract question. Since the 2012 property settlement, the church has carried expanded responsibility across parishes, schools, charitable work, and diocesan administration, while doing so as a minority church in a highly secular society and under real limits of administrative capacity and demographic decline. So for church institutions here, AI is first a question of governance, stewardship, and discernment. That is the center of gravity that I want to protect tonight. The serious question is not whether to welcome these systems or to refuse them. Both postures, taken in their pure form, leave the institution passive in front of a development it has not actually weighed. The question I want to put before this panel and this audience is sharper and more demanding. What form of technological use would actually serve mission, responsibility, and the common good? This is where Catholic social teaching becomes especially important. Catholic social teaching should not be treated only as a tool for criticizing technology after the fact. It can also function as a design framework from the beginning. It can help church institutions decide not only what is morally wrong, but also what is worth building, adopting, limiting, or refusing. In that sense, AI is not just a technical issue. It is an institutional issue. Every institution that uses AI, secular or sacred, is making a governance decision, whether it names it that way or not. It is deciding what kind of judgment will remain human, what kind of evidence machines may prepare, what remains accountable for decisions, what kind of institutional habits the technology will produce over time and in us. So I want to propose 4 design principles, drawing from 4 of the values of Catholic social teaching. I'm starting with human dignity. Any use of AI that reduces people to data points, optimization targets, or administrative objects has already gone wrong. This matters in church settings especially because many decisions are not merely technical. They concern persons, relationships, conscience, vocation, suffering, trust, and responsibility. A parishioner is not a case. A pastor is not a workflow node. A community is not a data set to be manipulated for maximum output. So the first question is never only, can this system produce a faster answer more efficiently? The first question is actually, what view of the human person is being built into the use of technology? Second value, subsidiarity. Decisions should remain as close as possible to the persons and communities responsible for them. AI should assist judgment. It should not centralize authority without accountability. many institutions are very tempted to use technology to create distance. Distance can make a system appear efficient while also weakening responsibility. A church institution that adopts it may think it is improving its processes when it is really only making decisions more abstract, less contestable, and less local. A better use of AI would preserve the local side of judgment while improving the quality of the information available there. In other words, AI can support subsidiarity if it helps people see more clearly without removing their responsibility to decide. Third, solidarity. Intelligence systems should strengthen shared responsibility rather than isolate actors. Too often, administrative systems, intentionally or not, produce fragmentation. Important knowledge exists, but it is scattered across inboxes, spreadsheets, documents, verbal memory, informal channels. One part of the institution knows something that another part never sees. One parish solves a problem that another parish later has to solve again. One office carries a hidden burden that leadership recognizes too late. AI can be useful here not because it creates wisdom automatically, but because it can help institutions recover shared visibility. It can help surface patterns, compare many inputs, identify where burdens are repeating, identify where attention is urgently needed. That kind of support can support and strengthen solidarity if it remains accountable to the people whose work and lives are being interpreted. The fourth and last one, common good. Technology should improve institutional life and service, not merely internal efficiency. A system can save time and still damage the common good. It can increase speed while making judgment thinner. It can reduce labor in one place while producing confusion or dependency somewhere else. In the Czech church, where responsibilities are distributed across parishes, schools, charitable works, and diocesan offices, a gain in speed in one place can easily produce confusion, delay, or hidden burdens somewhere else. So the question is not, does this tool make us faster? The question is, I think, does this use of technology actually help the institution serve people better, govern more responsibly, and recover time and attention for what is truly mission critical? These four principles already tell us something important. These are areas where church institutions should resist optimization. Some parts of church life should be better informed, but not automated into false certainty. This includes spiritual judgment, pastoral accompaniment, vocation and conscience, decisions that require prudence and not just pattern recognition. No institution should confuse stronger information processing with moral authority. No dashboard can replace discernment. No probability score can replace prudence, and no machine recommendation can remove responsibility from the people making a decision. So where can the church actually embrace assistance? I think at the same time, there are areas where it should. And here the goal is not replacement, but recovery. In short, the most promising uses, I think, are those that reduce administrative burden, preserve institutional memory and learning, and help leaders see more clearly across distributed responsibility. In many institutions, the problem is not that there's no information. The problem tends to be more that the right people do not receive the right picture at the right time. This is why I have come to think that the most useful rule for AI is often not artificial authority, but prepared attention. Prepared attention, I think, means the machine helps gather, compare, summarize, and surface. The machine remains accountable for human judgment. In practice, this might mean that a diocesan office, a parish network, or a charitable institution no longer are reconstructing the same scattered picture across email, spreadsheets, notes, and memory, but instead receiving a clearer view of where burdens, delays, and unresolved questions are actually concentrated. This distinction matters. Human in the loop, as it's called, should not be treated as a weak safety phrase. It should be treated as an institutional discipline. The real questions are, who remains accountable for the decision? What should the system never decide? What should always remain contestable by humans? What kind of evidence should the system surface instead of hide? These are governance questions before they are software questions. 3 practical areas. Let me make this more concrete in 3 areas that church institutions here will immediately recognize. The first, administrative burden. Many leaders in parish offices, diocesan curiae, schools, and charitable institutions spend too much time reconstructing information that already exists somewhere. They search across messages, notes, documents, spreadsheets, and personal memory simply to recover the operational picture. This is not a good use of human attention. AI can help summarize scattered material and return a clearer picture of what is actually happening so that energy is not being consumed by reconstruction before judgment can even begin. The second, institutional memory. Important knowledge is often held informally. If one person leaves, takes a break, like maternity break or paternity break, or is simply overloaded, continuity weakens. This becomes especially serious in institutions where responsibility is layered across local communities, parish offices, vicariates, diocesan strictures, school administration, charitable work, and changing leadership roles. In the Czech context, this also intersects with clergy capacity, lay leadership transitions, and the informal labor of secretaries, assistants, and other collaborators whose knowledge is often very real but weakly formalized. AI could help institutions retain continuity without pretending that memory is enough. The goal is not to create surveillance. In this region, maybe there's some historical experience of centralized information regimes, and this means that better visibility must never become a euphemism for surveillance. That is precisely why accountability, contestability, and local responsibility matter so much. The goal is to reduce unnecessary forgetting. The third one, stewardship visibility. Where resources, burdens, or responsibilities are distributed across many local units, leaders often need clearer comparative visibility, not to control everything centrally, but to recognize where help is needed, where patterns repeat, or where a local problem may actually be systemic instead. In each of these examples, the question is not, can AI run the church? Of course not. The question is, can AI help the church see, compare, and respond more responsibly? That is a very different question, and it is a more serious one. These are not only ethics questions after the fact, they are questions of institutional design and responsibility in advance. So to close, what matters is not whether institutions sound enthusiastic or cautious about artificial intelligence. There's a lot of hype and a lot of fear and anxiety out there. What matters is whether they have learned to ask better questions about it. Where do we already have the information needed for judgment, but not the clarity? Where could real assistance reduce burden without weakening responsibility? Which decisions must remain unmistakably human, accountable, and open to challenge? If Catholic social teaching helps us ask those questions well, and that can be for secular groups as much as for Catholic or other groups, then it does not arrive only at the end as a warning sign. It becomes part of the design from the beginning. I hope that can guide some of the discussion we are about to have tonight. Thank you.